Hi, friends, and welcome. Thank you for joining us on Navigating the Now. Here, two friends navigate life's challenges and complexities as Christian women, mothers, and wives. So come sit with us. We hope you enjoy today's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first episode on Navigating the Now. We've got an interesting topic for you guys today. We're going to be talking about work-life balance. Thought it was a very pertinent topic. We both work. We both have families. We both have obligations outside of work and families. We've got a lot to juggle, as do most women in the world, as do most women in this country today. I think, Michaela, you and I both grew up with the message of, you can have it all. You can have a family, you can have a career, you can chase your ambitions, you can do everything and anything you set your mind to. I, for one, was not really prepared as to what that actually looked like. Any working mom can tell you, can relate to this. A day in the life of, a working mom looks something like, you get up in the morning, get your kids ready for daycare, take them to daycare, get to work, do work, come home, or pick the kids up. Maybe your spouse picks the kids up, maybe you pick them up, but somebody gets the kids. Now you got to turn around and do dinner. Now you got to clean the house. Now you got to put the kids to bed, and maybe at some point you can relax a little bit, and maybe you get some sleep too. I don't know. And then it's just wash, rinse, and repeat day after day after day after day, and then you get to the weekend and, normally before kids, I was always like, oh, thank goodness it's Friday. But no, not really, because now on the weekends, you get to catch up on any other housework that you didn't, maybe you didn't hit during the rest of the week. And now you get to be full-time mom if you have young kids or if you have older kids taking to sports. And it is nonstop. So when they say you can have it all, you can have it all, but it's literally everything, and it is exhausting. Exhausting.
Having it all might not actually be a good thing.
Right.
I think often of that picture that circulates social media of the crazed cat whose hair is all in a mess, and it's just like me trying to raise kids, clean the house, cook dinner, drink enough water, and exercise.
Right.
That's about what it feels like.
It's absolutely insane. Yeah, and like I said, I had never once growing up given thought to what working and being a mom, what that actually meant, what that actually looked like. And yeah, it's definitely exhausting. And I find myself asking, I've asked myself all the time, is it worth it? Why am I even doing this? Certainly, historically, it's not been the case that women worked outside the home. My own mom, she worked outside the home for a little while, but most of my life she stayed home. We were actually homeschooled. And so, yeah, I didn't grow up with a working mom in the home. I think you had a little bit of different experience, didn't you?
Yeah. Both of my parents worked full time, pretty much my entire childhood, and they still do. And it's, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I definitely didn't feel like I didn't get enough time with my parents. Even being really active in sports and other things with school, I felt like I can always remember my parents being there, like field trips and other things, but remembering that is really encouraging to me now as a full-time working mom, because there are some days where it's just so overwhelming and I start second guessing everything, and I'm like, do I want to be that parent that sees their kid for maybe 1 hour in the morning, maybe 2 hours in the evening, and then on the weekends? Is that enough? And especially for me, I'm just a really big quality time person. And I'm just I don't know if that's enough time, like with my kids. Like, am I actually at that point, am I even parenting? Like,
Right.
am I
Yeah.
in their lives enough for them to know even who I am, like as their mom, as an authority figure, what have you. And especially like it just compounds if you travel for work. And this is just like talking about career sense. This isn't even talking about like other extracurriculars, like just hanging out with friends, like that would take time away from your
Mm.
kids. And so I do hold on to the hope and the memories that I have with my parents growing up, knowing that they worked full time and still made it work, even though I'm sure it wasn't easy for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm really glad that you had that perspective. That second guessing yourself, that comparing yourself to other people's experience like that, that's a killer. I ask myself that stuff all the time. Am I putting enough time in with my kids? Do they know that I care for them? Um, do they wish I was at home more often? I mean, granted, like our kids are still like really, really little. My
Yeah.
my oldest isn't even a four yet.
Mhm.
But like, am I missing out on laying some crazy important foundation that I don't know about that, 20 years from now, are they going to have like some sort of issue because mommy wasn't there when they were 2 years old? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, like my personality, I love my kids,
Mhm.
absolutely 100%. But the stay at home life, I don't know if I could do that, to be completely transparent and honest. I I mean, I feel like I get a taste of it on the weekends,
Mhm.
when it's, all day long catering to, "Mom, I want this. Mom, I want that." And, little crying needy infants who
Mhm.
need you
Like that's your
every.
life.
Right, and, like, the
Mhm.
same monotonous thing over and over and over again. Um, Definitely, it's a whole lot of value to being able to do that and provide that stability and that security for a young child, but that is not, like, my favorite thing to do,
Mhm.
and I do find fulfillment out of the work that I get, not because, I feel some calling to the IT industry, but because
Mhm.
that's just how my brain works. That's how God made my brain, I think. That's how I like
Mhm.
to live. That's how I like to use it. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's a trade-off, you know, between not being able to give as much time to your kids, but I don't know, you know.
Yeah. And I think I'm like you. I think I'm kind of wired the same way in the sense of like I love my son obviously more than anything in the world, but it's just like I don't know. Like we're just not wired that way and some people aren't. And I think in
Mhm.
today's society it's a little bit more, well, it is. It's more accepted that you shouldn't be expected to stay home as a mom.
Mhm.
But like you said, it definitely used to be. Like it was something that was just like, well, you chose to have kids, so that means you should choose to stay home with them. And it's
By
just like,
default, yeah.
right. And it's like, well, no, like I think we've come a long way in recognizing that not all women are made to do that. Like that's a job. Like being a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job and it's if it's not, something we choose to do, then it shouldn't have to be. And I think because this is kind of a newer concept being, the last 20 or 30 years, becoming more and more common, I still think it's something that the workplace and like the corporate world is still learning how to adjust to. I think it's come a long way, but I think it's still slowly trying to adapt to what a good work and personal life balance looks like.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. That seems to be, a topic that comes up very often. Work-life balance. How do you
Mhm.
how do you juggle everything to where you get that fulfillment that you're looking for in all the areas of your life that you're looking? to get
Yeah.
fulfillment out of.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And outside of fulfillment, I mean, there are financial reasons for
right,
needing to be a two income household. Like, especially with, you know, the way the housing market is and just like the country's finances in general, like it's very challenging to make a one income household work while supplying all the needs of the household, much less doing things that are like fun outside of the necessary things like bills and food and, you know, a
right.
mortgage or rent and a car payment, like all this stuff. Like sometimes it's just necessary for households to have two incomes. And I think I know that I'm extremely blessed that like I don't work primarily for financial reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I know there's a ton of women out there that do.
Right.
Like they work because they have to. Like they have no other choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. If you went to college and you have student loans, you're it's almost a
Mhm.
guarantee you're going to be working for
Yeah.
for a little while, at least for a few years there. And even if you didn't go to college, gosh, with inflation and just the cost of living,
Mhm.
everybody's situation is different. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like you really can't help it. Um, but I don't know. I mean, did you see yourself working um outside of the home when you were growing up? Was that kind of in your game plan?
Yeah, I think so. Like there was and it was probably pretty dependent on the fact that or it was influenced by the fact that my mom worked outside of the home. So, which a lot of my friends' parents did too. And really up until like the last like 5 or 6 years of my life, I had never experienced or kind of like saw firsthand what it looked like for someone to be a stay-at-home mom and choose not to work. Um, so it was probably mostly because I just didn't know any different. Like, I think I just didn't know that the option was out there for
Mm-hmm.
people. So that probably contributed a lot to, you know, the typical, you know, like path of graduating high school, going to college, getting a career in the degree that you earned when you went to college, and like, that's what you did, and then, like, if a family happened along the way, then, like, good for you, but it was hard like, it was easier to plan a career than it is to plan, like, meeting the person you're gonna marry.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's a little bit more tangible in today's world, and maybe that's why that's what people's mindset is, like, oriented towards more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think like that's a common message that we're trying to send to young girls now anyway. It's the you can't have it all. Girls can do anything, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, I mean, I don't know. I guess growing up, like I was kind of more of an idealist in the sense that uh I was like super duper Christian and I was like, I want to do something that, the Bible says you have to do it this way or whatever. So
Mhm.
I couldn't figure out like, well, I kept reading, Proverbs 31 because that's supposed to be like the model woman or whatever.
Mhm.
And I could not figure out for the life of me if that woman was a working mom or a stay-at-home mom. Like I can't
Yes.
probably because like there is no actual I don't think God's sitting up there going, the formula for a biblical woman is a working outside the home or a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home mom that does multi-level marketing or
Mhm.
whatever. I think the point is you care for your family, make sure your family is provided for. There seems to be that piece of you are the domestic head, you take
Mhm.
care of the home things, but anything outside of that, if you want to work outside the home, you can work. So I
Yeah.
guess my thought was always I'm going to work until I have kids and then I'll reevaluate, but more than likely will stay home with the kids. That's not quite what happened. um,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I guess right now I'm kind of at a crossroads as to whether or not I want to keep working or not, with having such young kids and
Hmm.
just wondering, like, do they need me more? Do we need my money more? There's just a whole
Mm.
lot that we're trying to weigh right now, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
I guess ultimately I didn't see it playing out quite like this.
Yeah. I don't think you could ever fully understand the like the almost daily like internal debate that like a lot of moms have about this until you actually have kids. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you have these little babies and they're just looking up at you, and it's just like, especially during the first couple of months, and it's just like, how am I ever going to be able to leave your side from going from feelings like that to, okay, kid, like you're going to daycare, like
Right.
that wide spectrum. Like until you actually have kids, I don't think you'll understand. Like, I don't think you'll know for sure. And like, there's nothing wrong with planning, there's nothing wrong with making plans and having goals. But I think it's really important that there's room within those to change a little
Mm-hmm.
bit over time. Like you said, like, yeah, I'll work until I have kids. And then when I have kids, I'll reevaluate. And then if I have more kids, like, I'll reevaluate after those kids.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've always thought about that too. Like, oh, what if I just stayed home with them until they started kindergarten? Because I don't think I'm cut out to be a homeschool teacher, a homeschool mom.
Oh no, not me.
Yeah. Like, what if I just did it till then? It's like, okay, that's just 5 years. Like, I shouldn't fall too far behind in the corporate world with what's going on, like certifications, things like going on a date. But it's like, well, wait, well, what if you want to have more than one? And what
Mm-hmm.
if you want them to be like just like a year and a half or 2 years apart? Okay, well, that's 7 years. Well, what if
Yeah.
you want three kids? Okay, now we're coming up on like a decade. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, what works best for me, for my family, for this season? And it's okay if it changes. It's okay if, it looks different for different kids.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've found my own priorities um shifting and like legitimately caring more about kids more than career ambition. Like 5 years ago I was type A personality. I want to go as far as I can go. I wanted to conquer, I want to achieve, I want to do this, I want to do that.
Oh
And
man, we
then
were so ambitious, especially in college.
yeah, well, I mean, going to VMI, they pump all that into you. Don't do ordinary, be a leader,
Mhm.
be extraordinary. All this like shoot for the stars kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And it's not that you can't. It's having children. I didn't realize just how dramatically it changes the trajectory of your life. Like my
Mhm.
thought was, oh, you have kids, well, you can just keep living your life plus one or two, and they kind of tag along with you, and then they're just kind of there. And it's like, no, they they
Mhm.
they completely they reprioritize. Your priorities change.
Mhm.
Logistically, you don't account for having to stay home from work when daycare is closed or when the kids get
Mhm.
sick, doctor's appointments, this, that, and the other. um and even if your employer is super flexible, um or very forgiving or whatever when it comes to you missing work, like it still impacts the trajectory of your career whether you want it
Mhm.
to or not. um Whether it's your employer's fault or even your own motivation, whatever, like it really impacts the way you view your job and your life.
Yeah.
And like I didn't see that coming.
No, definitely not. It's like before, it's like, okay, you need me to work till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night? Sure, like I'll do it. Like, Oh, you
Mm-hmm.
need me to travel and be gone for a week, 2 weeks? Sure, I'll do it. And now it's just like, okay, like it's not as appealing anymore. Or like, okay, don't get mad at me when I leave at 5 o'clock, because I want to
Right.
get home to see my kid for an hour and a half before it's his bedtime, like,
Mm-hmm.
and oh my gosh, with the doctor's appointments and daycare closing and all of that, like, I swear parents, like, they should just automatically get an extra week of vacation a year on top of whatever they get
To account
solely
for all
just for
that.
taking their kids to appointments.
Right, right. Oh my gosh, it's insane. It's insane how many appointments they have when they're, under 1 years old. Like, I just saw
Yes.
you 3 months ago. You want to see me again? All right. Yeah,
Yes.
it's crazy. Oh,
But it's definitely a very, one of the challenges about this balance, especially in today's world, is just the fact that there's so many options out there. Like there's so many
mm,
different ways that you can do this, that you can parent, that you can choose how to excel in your career, advance in your career, whether it's going back to school, whatever that looks like. And but we have all of that in our faces all the time, and it's like this comparison game. And
yes.
so it's like, I have a pretty wide variety of friends who are anywhere from like extremely high up in their career fields, and they decided to wait until later in life to have kids because of it, all the way to friends who were like stay-at-home moms when they were pregnant, like cuz they knew when the baby was coming they were going to stay at home.
Right.
And it's so easy to have that, like, grass is greener on the other side syndrome. Like,
Yes.
you can constantly be thinking like, "Oh, well, that kinda looks nice from over here," and it's just like, you see your friends share, like, I'll see some of my stay-at-home mom friends share pictures of their kid at the park at 10:30 in the morning, and I'm just sitting at my desk like, "Oh, I guess I hope Sam's having a good time at daycare this morning," Like,
Yeah.
just thinking and comparing, like, it's like there's too many options out there.
Yeah. That, that's freedom of choice, I think, is both a blessing and a curse, right?
Mhm.
With every choice you make, there's gonna be a cost. And yeah, I mean, at some point you have to figure out what's important to you and just do the best you can with the information you're given and what's important to you. And we're blessed, honestly, to have this problem.
Mhm.
As
Yeah.
inconvenient and stressful as it is, I don't know of another time in our history when women have had these kinds of options and these kinds of choices.
Mhm.
Um, don't know when we've been as stressed either. Maybe there's,
Yes.
I'm sure people have been stressed throughout the ages for all sorts of reasons, but this is our cross to bear. And it's honestly not that bad of a cross if we really think about it.
Yeah, in
But
comparison, for sure.
yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, the question we tend to ask ourselves in some way or another is 10 years from now, will we look back and be happy with the choices that we're making now? Or do we wish that we would have done it differently? You know?
Mhm.
So, you know, I think the balance between a successful career and a happy, purposeful home life is an ongoing adventure that we may never be able to master. But by surrounding ourselves with good people who remind us that we are not alone in trying to figure it all out, we may find we enjoy navigating this balance along the way. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you would like to share your thoughts, please visit our website at www.navigatingthenow.show. Until then, we'll see you next time.